territory as we move forward together. We ask all these blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Okay. Honorable Kai Reimer, Minister for Communications and Works. Honorable Vincent Wheatley, Minister for Health and Social Development. Honorable Carl Dawson, Deputy Speaker. Honorable Lorna Smith, Minister for Finance, Economics, and what was the other one? Financial Services, sorry. And Digital Transformation. And Honorable Stacey Mehta, at-large member. This evening, our format is a little different, and we have started to have these meetings. We started first with, I believe, Honorable Carl in Weston, oh yes, and then we went to the 9th District with Honorable Vincent Wheatley, and we're here today. And oh yes, and let's stick it with the Premier. And now we're here in the 4th District today. And the format is, I will give a brief about the updates in Rotown, and then the other members will speak, and then from there on we will ask. You'll be able to ask questions, and the members will, of course, be able to answer your many questions and concerns, and they have their teams here that will assist with providing you with the information that you are seeking. Okay? All right, we begin. Good evening, everyone, and again, thank you for joining us. It is always an honor to appear before you, the people I am privileged to serve. I want to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation for your continued support over the years. Your trust, your engagement, and your partnership are what make our district stronger. And I remain fully committed to working on your behalf every single day. As your representative, my focus has always been on delivering real, tangible improvements in our communities. And I am pleased to share that several key projects are currently underway. We have had bush cutting in the area for some time. It has resumed Monday, so we do have the bush cutting through the rated program. There has been some drain cleaning. During the Christmas holidays, we did clear up some drains as part of our efforts to reduce flooding risk and improve public health. There has been some asphalting of roads progressing in multiple areas. We did do Abbott Road and Russell Hill Road, and then there are other road projects that are going to be taking place, but you'll hear about those from the Ministry of Communications and Works. Assistance remains available for constituents facing personal or family matters. And of course, we continue to maintain our office hours, which is for district offices located in the Chevelle building. The hours are 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Our community food pantry remains active with several successful food drives held to support families in need. By the end of this week, we will also launch new cleanup initiatives, including work on the area across from the hospital and the adjoining parking lot. These efforts are part of our continued commitment to maintaining a clean, safe, and healthy environment for all residents. We are also advancing collaboration between the Department of Waste Management and City Manager's Office to improve efficiency and strengthen our long-term waste management strategy. Looking ahead, several projects that will be expedited through the RDA, through the Rotown Development Project, that is, with the assistance of the RDA, will be announced soon. I will share full details and timelines at an upcoming date because we do have some information to share about those particular projects. Additionally, a tender is now out being advertised for the construction of sidewalks on DeCastro Street. I encourage all interested contractors to review the tender documents and participate in the process. We are also preparing to sign a contract with the selected firm responsible for completing the Rotown Improvement Master Plan, an important milestone for our community's future development. As part of this effort, we are inviting the public as well to submit design concepts for both the new roundabout and the pedestrian walkway. These are being advertised and they have deadlines. As a matter of fact, tomorrow is a meeting with interesting contractors that are interested in bidding for the sidewalk project on DeCastro Street. A few projects will be expedited with the assistance of the Ministry of Communications and Works through civil works funds. And these funds will be used to expedite a few additional projects that we have identified. We just need to submit our forms and get those expedited, if at all, as soon as possible. Finally, dialogue will commence very soon. We received a call from the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, and they want to activate some community policing. Of course, this will require the community's input. So particularly this meeting, as I said before, isn't just about the 4th District, but an opportunity for the government members to share their projects and answer any questions you may have. But we will have additional meetings to give more details about what's going to be happening in the 4th District. And as always, I remain dedicated, but I want to say too, we have about 8 to 10 roads in Road Town that are earmarked to be addressed. There's one that's already signed off on, that's Dungeon Road. That was signed off on last year, but because of a little setback, that project hasn't been started, but it has already been assigned to a contractor. And once the Ministry of Communication gives the green light, that project will be started. We started on that particular project because of the road that's undermined a little bit. We consider that priority in terms of safety. So that road will be addressed shortly once the ministry addresses the issue that's holding it up a little bit right now. So closing, I want to say that as always, I remain dedicated to transparency, accountability, and open communication. Together, we will continue making progress and building an even better District 4 we can all be proud of. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing your questions and comments this evening. So I will turn to my very far right, Honorable Lorna. She will speak. And then we do have, because we are very, very busy, folks, we do have 2 of our members who will leave, and I'm hoping that the Premier will join us shortly as well. So we'll let Honorable Lorna speak, and then we come up the chain to Honorable Reimer. Okay?
Thank you very much, Honorable Luce. Good afternoon, everybody. Because we want to hear your questions, we want to hear from you, I am going to be brief, and I think all of us are going to be very brief in our comments. Of course, as the minister responsible for financial services, trade, and digital transformation, and so on, you may have questions, especially with what has been happening in the Middle East in terms of financial services, but I don't plan to address any matter relating to financial services, but please feel free to raise any questions that you may want to at this time. The area I'm going to concentrate on in brief would be the Department of Trade, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about cost of living and what we refer to as the basket of goods. I'd like to begin by introducing Dr. Lincoln Bob, who is the acting head of the Trade Department, and I'm pleased that he's here and can answer any detailed questions that you may have. I expect that Mr. Leroy James will also join us soon. In terms of the Trade Department, I know that in terms of business development, financing is always a problem for businesses. I've had several meetings with individuals in the banking sector, as well as persons who are involved in the general financing sector, and I've made no bones about it, and I've been very clear in saying that it is clear that banks are very reluctant, if not uninterested, in financing businesses, small businesses. In fact, I went further today and said something like they're not terribly interested in financing commerce, but that is a bit of an exaggeration because it's not everything in commerce that is not funded. But I'm pleased to say that the government has a grants program, and this year that program it sounds like a small amount, it's about $300,000, that is available for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. And from that program, you can get as much as $20,000 for your business development. And we can talk a little bit more about the criteria if you're interested. I also want to mention the National Business Bureau in terms of the Trade Department. People tend to think that the Trade Department is about trade licenses, but it's not just about issuing trade licenses, it's also about supporting businesses in terms of their development and their growth. And so in the National Business Bureau, we have several programs, including a program of training that we do in conjunction with the H. Laverty Stout Community College. And Dr. Bob, has that program started?
No, it will start in the next 2 weeks.
In the next 2 weeks it will start. And I would encourage all of you as business persons to sign up for the program. A lot of the times the banks would tell you that they are not financing your proposal because you do not have a good business plan. So if you want to get a good business, if you want to get financing, or if you want to improve your chances for getting financing, I would encourage you to sign up for that program. We also have, of course, the business laboratory for tiny businesses if you need to come and try out a business, which we've had for a lot of years, but I'm pleased to say that this week we began to move to more comfortable quarters. And Dr. Bob, how soon will we be able to open for business? So by next week, we should be moving to the ward building on the 3rd floor. And don't worry about when you hear the 3rd floor, there is a working elevator. So you should be able to. The exercise is good too, but for persons who might have disabilities, there is the elevator. And then there is the entrepreneurship zone in Huntersgut, where you can also apply to set up your business. I believe that we are about 80% there in terms of completion of the facilities. And again, come and see us at the Trade Department to learn more about how the entrepreneurship zone will work. And finally, in terms of the protected basket of goods, it's not a basket, it's a number of goods that we are working on that we would like for our businesses, our supermarkets, to hold at a certain cost. We know that the cost of living is getting to be astronomical. There is some control that businesses have over the price of goods. In other circumstances, they have no control, because when you look at what is happening now, for instance, in terms of the price of fuel, that alone drives up the cost of goods. But we're looking to not looking to, we have a set of goods, basic goods, you know, whether it's chicken, fish, children's goods, peas, rice, and so on, that we hope in a couple of months to be able to make an announcement in terms of the stability of the price of those goods. So that is something we're working on with Customs and the Ministry of Finance, as well as with the department, the supermarkets. And they have been very cooperative, and I'm very grateful to them for the cooperation that they have given to us so far. And so with those few comments, I will stop there and return back to you, Honorable Luce, to continue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Vincent.
Pleasant good evening, everyone. Vincent Wheatley, Minister for Health and Social Development. I'm going to save a lot of time by just asking each of you to go onto the government's website and Facebook. You're going to see a lot of activities currently undertaken by the Ministry of Health. We have taken a new approach to making sure that the public is aware of the initiatives of the ministry. But there are two in particular I want you to particularly pay attention to and give your feedback on. There is a sexual offenses bill, which is currently being circulated. You can go and download the link and get a copy. There are 3 copies at the end of the document. You have to scroll all the way down. If you can't find it, WhatsApp me, I'll send it to you, or Kyle will send it to you. If I can anything you need, I'll get it from Kyle. The second bill I would like you to look at and give your input, I think the deadline might be Friday, is reducing plastics in our community, and also do a bottle bill and so forth. These are currently going through the public consultation, and I would like your feedback on those 2 bills in particular. But apart from those things, we also have a new program called What the Health BVI, where we talk about particular health issues. And I just started, I think, last week. We also have the BVI Moves program that's happening now. There's a big walk this afternoon. And join a group. Walking is very healthy. You don't have to walk up the hill, but just walk as often as you can. 20 minutes to half an hour, get your breathing up and so forth. As far as Road Town is concerned, we are about to commence our derelict program. I work in the 4th district. I spend more time in the 4th unit than I do in my own district. So as I drive around, I drove with Honorable Lana Smith one time, we saw a lot of derelicts. We have just gotten permission for our new derelict site. We haven't started moving the cars as yet, but I can tell you, Director, I think we've counted so far, or tagged so far, about 194 cars just in the Road Town area alone. As soon as we start moving the cars, hopefully within the next 2 weeks or so, we're going to take all those cars out of Road Town and clean the place up. We're also working with the city management to make sure Road Town is cleaner than it currently is now, getting the dirt off the roads, getting the bush cut, just making Road Town the capital that it's supposed to be. On any given day, you see cruise ships in Road Town. Sometimes I'm kind of a bit embarrassed because there's so many folks and they travel all over, all by my office in Longbush. I see them up there walking around. I don't know what they're looking for. But they're all over the place, so we have to make sure that the place is kept clean and it's kept safe and it looks attractive and so forth. So I'll be working with all my colleagues to make sure we bring Road Town. You heard your district rep speak about the Road Town project. So we are doing all that we can to make Road Town into the capital it is supposed to represent. I will stop there and take questions later. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Vincent. We turn now to Honorable Dr. Dawson.
I'm happy to be here tonight in support of Honorable Luce Hodge Smith. And when I consider my own district and some things that had been on the docket, as we would say, for a while, but in time they're actually, and I'm seeing things being done, I also see the same thing with Honorable Luce. So I'm looking forward to supporting her with a number of projects that we've been talking about for a while, but I'm actually seeing the concrete steps that will result in work on the street. As Deputy Speaker, you would know I had previously served as Junior Minister for Agriculture and Fisheries, and as Deputy Speaker, I don't have a portfolio per se, but I still assist the Premier in that area, as well as Honorable Mather, who had to step away, but when he comes back, he will say a word or two as well. So the hottest things in our area, of course, were most persons who are officials or farmers would have known of the grant policy, which we passed, and we have received applications. And I'd like to say to persons who did not apply in this round, it's still open. You may not be considered in this exact segment, but you should get ahead and make submissions. Think it out clearly as to what you would use the money, what do you expect to achieve with the use of the money, how you expect to show afterwards how effectively use the money, and get an application and get it in. I think, are they available at your office, Honorable? I'm sure they can assist you, though they can print it out if it's not ready. Okay, they can easily print it out in an office. Some other key projects still are ongoing. We've been hearing about them for a while, but with the assistance of RDA, we do see steps taken part as far as farmers in general, such as the agricultural complex at Paraquita Bay, which will start initially as a new and improved and sanitized abattoir. But we also would expect to break ground, or certainly get the architectural renderings for the fishing complex in the general Bargus Bay area, not on the same footprint that it was before, but we wanted to make sure that we have a seaside venue for the fishing complex to ease the transport of items for the fishermen. Back at Paraquita Bay, that the abattoir represents the first phase in a project, but the second phase will focus more on agro-processing to make sure that we can take better use of items throughout the year. So for instance, there are years when we have times when we are flooded with mangoes, for instance, and you can't get them sold, but we want to be able to use those mangoes, process them so that you have them fresh in season, but you can make other products with them throughout the year. We're also looking at fishing preparations on Virgin Gorda as well to ensure that fishers' needs are being met. So I'll allow for Honorable Mather to talk about the agricultural exhibition this year. A number of us will realize that it hasn't come up as yet. We've delayed it because we want to make some changes as far as the venue is concerned, and we've had a meeting actually today with farmers and fishers with respect to that. But I'll leave that for him to speak about when he comes. But just to say that we are still very focused on this area, and some of the things that we've been talking about for a while are finally starting to move into place. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dawson. We turn now to my left, Honorable Reimer.
Thank you, Honorable. Good evening to everyone. Good evening. All right. Just want to make sure everybody's here. I'm happy to be here to support Honorable Luce and her community meeting. I think this is the way we try to communicate, listen to our constituents, hear their concerns, and see how we could address them. Under my portfolio, there are quite a lot that would affect this district and, the infrastructure of the territory. And, I don't want to go into it and find excuses. We know what these challenges are. For example, the roads, you would have heard Honorable speak about the roads. We have roads at different levels in the procurement process. We would have also have some out in the tendering process, some contract signed as well. I think almost every road within the 4th district is documented to be addressed at some point, whether it's sidewalks on DeCastro Street, whether it's addressing culverts or resurfacing. We have identified all of them to the representative, and she's adamant that she wants to get them done. We would have done design for quite a lot of them, and we're in like I said, we're at various stages. So that is with the roads. We also have a contract signed I'm not sure, I think there are so many names, Dungeon Road and Ferrara Road and all those roads. So we have that supposed to start soon in terms of the resurfacing for the rehabilitation for that road. So quite a lot of road works that should be happening and be kicking off soon in the district, and the notices would soon be going out. Also in terms of water challenges, we have the reservoir here in Longbush, and we would have been distributing water throughout the community. We would have just done a repair where we hope to get, I think water is now a bit more consistent within the community as well, where we had to replace a valve and we're doing some other maintenance stuff. I want you to know that your representative work, making sure that her district is above par in terms of sewage. We would have brought back the Board Point sewage plant online, and she insisted that she didn't want to see any more dumping of sewage in Road Town. Hence, we would have started doing the dumping now at Board Point. You might see a truck here or there at the roundabout. That is because there's some servicing issue at Board Point, but we would have reduced any sewage truck doing any dumping in Road Town. You would have also seen that we continue to keep the trees and the brush and so forth well manicured in the Road Town area coming up Waterfront Drive, because we would have had a contract with a company who would do that maintenance in addition to the works done to the representative through her rated program and as well as the city management. We are also working to upgrade some of the sewage station, Road Town. We will soon be starting works there to do additional upgrades as well, and we are down at Fort Burt, where we are starting to do some upgrades there as well. So there are quite a lot that is to be done within the confines of the 4th District. And, in these forums, we'll be able to tell you more, and any questions that you have, we'll be able to address you more. I don't want to sit here and talk all day. I think we're at this meeting where we could hear from you. Any questions, we'll be able to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Reimer. We'd like to welcome Honorable Shari De Castro, Minister for Education and Social Development, and give her a hot seat as you just stepped in. Oh, sorry. Youth Affairs and Sports Education. Welcome her, please.
Thank you so much, and good evening, everyone. Just quickly, I'll give some updates specific to the 4th District. So, of course, we are sitting in the Elmore Stout High School. You would see that we would have done some upgrades to this facility. Currently being finalized is the wall. Of course, unfortunately, it was never fully completed, and one of the main challenges we have is securing the campus, because students are easily able to go on and off, as well as other individuals. So those works are ongoing, and just as you entered, you would have seen we put on an automatic gate, so there's one now on the front and the back, and we're working to finalize the lower estate side where the water plant and that kind of stuff is on the back. We would have done some vending kiosks as well. So those have significantly increased the health and safety for both students and teachers regarding the lunch periods and the break periods. We've had some challenges with air conditioning as well. So we've had to, in a phased approach, with the new buildings, install air conditioning. So we did Block C, which is the farthest to the back, and we're currently working on doing Block B. We also, my team was just finalizing the plumbing for the backup water tanks. We know we have some challenges with water that the minister is working to finalize, but there's a challenge. Once water goes off, as minister, I get a call asking for consideration for school to be closed. Just last week, that was a challenge. So we had to wait on a transformer, which the electrical team did receive, and so they're working to finalize installation there. So in instances where we do have challenges with water, we have that backup water supply that can furnish the school for a period of time. Similarly, we're working to do the same with generators. We would have already procured the generators. So at this point is now connection of those generators. So in terms of both electricity and water, if there are challenges, the school, which currently houses about 1,450 students, plus over about 150 faculty, we wouldn't disturb the school day and instruction if there are potential challenges. Anything else specific to Elmore Stout? Not that I could think on specifically at this moment. Infrastructure-wise, I'll just say, as I updated in the press conference on Monday regarding Altair Scatliff, we are on our way. The expectation is that by the end of the second quarter, we will break ground. So we are excited about that. It will be a modern, purpose-built primary facility that we believe will become the standard, not just in the Virgin Islands, but the region, because we would have done the requisite consultation and every single thing have been considered regarding how we want the building from the construction to the interior and so forth. So we're excited about that, and we hope to remain on target to be able to break ground by the end of the second quarter.
Thank you very much, Honorable Shari. The others, when they come, they will give them an opportunity to speak. I was just reminded that there was a public tender as well for the Queen Elizabeth Park to keep the bush cut, because you know that's an eyesore, and that actually was under the Ministry of Natural Resources, and not just the cleaning of the bush or the grass, but also to maintain the restroom that's there. The ministry is currently reviewing the tenders, and the successful tender should be selected shortly. So we should, no longer see all that grass up, and it'll be addressed on a regular basis. Okay? So it's your turn now. Any questions? But what I would like Mr. Fritz to do, if you don't mind, Mr. Honorable Reimer, from the Ministry of Communications and Works, just to list out the names of the roads in Rotown that would be addressed, if that's possible, please, just to give everyone an idea.
All right.
It's on.
Good night, everyone. So some of the roads that we're currently working on in the 4th District, well, obviously we would have completed the road where we call it George's Hollow, which is in the area by the McTavius. So that was recently completed. Other roads that we're going through the tender process, the McNamara Road, we started from the junction right there by, that's Seaview. And we coming all the way up, we come straight up to the junction. There's a split, which we call Wheeling Road, which goes towards the hospital side. So we're working on that. We have a contract in place to fix the Wheeling Road side. And currently we have a tender going out to continue, if you take the left going up, well, what we call, that's actually McNamara Road. That tender is currently with the Ministry of Finance. I think it's already evaluated, so eventually it'll go to Cabinet for approval. In addition to that, we have a tender as well for Fort Bord area. We have a lot of drainage issues from, if you start just after Crandall's, just a little bit beyond Crandall's, in that corner heading to Seaview, the sidewalk is basically same level as the road. We have a lot of issues with water ponding and settling, so we have a tender going through for that road repair. That's also with the Ministry of Finance, I believe, also from the last conversations had, that it's already evaluated, so it's also to go to Cabinet for award of contract. In addition to that, we would have done some resurfacing on the road from Russell Hill. That's leading down from where Bougainvillea is. We would have done some resurfacing in that area. And then also we plan to do some actual tenders. We have the designs already in place, which would be the actual top part of Russell Hill coming down to that junction where it splits to go Bougainvillea or come down by BVI Beacon. And then also we want to do some repairs to the road, which is called Porter Road. Porter Road is, if you come from by the hospital and you turn left, going down to the Beacon, that section of road we have designs in place. So it's just a matter of initiating through the ministry's restricted tender to get that done. Currently, we have a signed contract as well in the area by Noah Lloyd Park. There's a lot of water settlement right in the area where the Noah Lloyd bathroom is. So the intent is to raise the road slightly so that we can allow the water to drain to the existing drains, which are more in the area by First Bank. So that would also include raising the sidewalks to match that section of road. We also, as mentioned, I believe, the Dungeon Road, which is, what's the daycare up there? I forget. Venetos. So if you go up there, if you continue going straight up to the reservoir, that's Dungeon Road. So we have a contract in place, and we're hopeful to get the contractor started within a matter of 2 weeks or so. We also have designs for what we call Ferrara Road. So the same Venetos, if you take a right turn, that's Ferrara Road. So we have the designs in place. So that also will be put out for tender to get that executed. Did I forget anything else? In terms of roads, I think I covered quite a bit. So I think as the minister, my minister, Minister of Communications and Works indicated, we do have a lot of roads that we have already looked at. Also, Public Works could also update. We are looking at Main Street as well in terms of resurfacing Main Street. So a lot of roads within the 4th District and Rotown environs have definitely been on our radar. We are also doing the sidewalks from in the area by Bobby's where we have some drainage. So we're hopeful to have a contract in place in that area to regularize the issue of drainage in that section of road as well. So we're focusing quite a bit on the roads in the district. So within the next few weeks, we expect to start some of these and continue our tender process for the others that are going through the tender process. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Fritz. I would also like to add that the dock at Salt Island, through the Ministry of Natural Resources, will be addressed as well this year. It will be replaced as well. So that's another project, and I think by 3rd quarter, I believe that will be, hope to be completed by 3rd quarter. Okay. Any questions? Yes, Mr. Christian, you want to take the mic?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'd like to say good evening to all the honorables. It's such a good feeling to see that we can have a conversation with our elected officials in one room at one time. I have quite a few questions. I think what I'm going to do is perhaps give my comments first, and then based on the respective ministers, you can perhaps speak about the questions. I want to say that I'm, first of all, happy to see the way that the roundabout in Rotown and the planters on the carriageway are being maintained. I think it's the best I've seen in looking in a long time. And I think that's because you have a contract in place with somebody that has a level of responsibility and appreciation. So that looks really, really nice. Honorable Luce Hodge, I don't know if you can elaborate further on the roundabout project that I've heard on the radio and you spoke briefly about with respect to what's the rationale behind wanting to do a project that would reflect something to the effect depicting our national pride or national heroes, whatever it is. One of the things that concerns me about governments over the years is the general maintenance of government properties. And listening to the scope of the project for the roundabout, I immediately started to think about Sir Oliver George's Plaza. That's an area in Road Town that has been named after one of our national heroes. There's a monument of that person standing in the plaza. But yet we have allowed the plaza to become a parking lot, an area for a restaurant. The market continues to be taking place there. And the general appearance of that particular piece of landmark doesn't justify the person whose name it depicts. And we need to do a better job of maintaining these public spaces. The police can't park inside there because the police station is there. You know, restaurants should be made to operate with certain limitations. You just can't have chairs and tables strewn all over the place. The fountain, Honorable Lorna would know, several attempts have been made to get that fountain up and running again. It needs to be up and running. So I say that with concern for what will take place at the roundabout based on the proposed project. Honorable Vincent Wheatley, thank you very much for the update on the health. In 2019, when I retired from politics, one of the last debates in the House of Assembly was the naming of the Peebles Hospital after Dr. D. Orlando Smith. And we debated, and there was no dissent that that institution should bear his name, and proudly so. This is 2026, and we are still seeing Peebles, if you can get all the letters spelled right, hospital, from town, from out in the harbor. Bougainvillea Clinic has been able to modify, expand, and erect two lit signs that you can see in Road Town and beyond. And I don't understand why to date we don't have that sign erected on Dr. D. Orlando Smith. So I bat in for him tonight. His wife is here. If she wants to bat, she can bat, but I bat in for him tonight. We need to get that sign up. Post haste, there shouldn't be, any more excuses about the cost and stuff like that. And if the cost is what I heard it is, I would suggest you probably consult with Bougainvillea Clinic to find out how they were able to get two signs done for less than $40,000. You also spoke about the derelict vehicles in Road Town. And this is my biggest pet peeve. I was born in Road Town, in Cottage Hospital, raised in Road Town on Main Street. One of my Main Street colleagues said the other day, "You from down street." We had down street and up street, right, Luce? I was from down street. My natural biological mother, who died in 1959, is buried in the cemetery where the New Seventh-day Adventist Church is. I got a lot of connection to Road Town. I have to come to work in it every single day. So Honorable Dawson, don't feel anyway. I love the 1st District too. But Road Town has a very special place for me. And we need to now take Road Town to the next level. So from the Road Town Port Facility all the way down to the QE2 Park. Honorable Hodge, I know you have done the walk, but every time you turn your back, you have another vehicle down there. A few weeks ago, or a month ago, there was an accident where 2 vehicles in the parking lot that have been there for months got damaged. And that's another thing that I'm concerned about. Why are people being allowed to bring vehicles into public spaces and put them up for sale? I mean, if you have 2 vehicles and you can't sell them by your property, put them on Facebook, put them on the community bulletin board. Unless the government is getting a commission from the sale, that shouldn't be allowed. Now you have 2 new ones there opposite First Bank. I could give you the name and the model of the vehicles, you know. Then we have the containers. Why are 40-foot and 20-foot containers being allowed to sit on government property in Road Town? We got boats. We got heavy-duty equipment. So I don't know how Honorable Lorna Smith feel, but I'll tell all of y'all this in here tonight. I'm taking off my concern hat and I'm putting on my professional real estate hat. Every single one of us in here has some level of real estate, right? Somebody has a house, apartment buildings, a restaurant. The way we have all these junk around these properties that we own, that you're going to call me tomorrow morning and tell me you need an appraisal because you need to go to the bank and actually I want the value high. It can't get high with the way we live in. Because there's a thing called depreciation. So if you drive into a neighborhood where Lorna has a lovely house, well maintained and stuff like that, but as you pass, she got a truck, an old boat, an old car, and everything else that detracts from the value of her property, she's not going to get her property to worth anything. So if all of us have any semblance of pride, we will really, really start paying attention to what we have around our properties, how our villages, how our neighborhoods, how our district look. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if we want to pass on well to the next generation, we should try our best to do something about the way the entire territory looks. And Road Town as a capital should be the benchmark for the way things should look. Those things that are being stockpiled down in those parking lots, shouldn't happen. And then you have the issue with rodents. And then you have the issue with the social issues that we have, persons sleeping in some of those vehicles. Then you have the issue with when you pass, you see feces, you smell urine, and this is in Road Town. So, Honorable Luce Hodge, Honorable Vincent Wheatley, you got to put your foot down. And if I could make a suggestion, the government-owned land in Road Town, if you want to keep those things out, fence it. Fence it and gate it. That way they have nowhere else to take their stuff other than to probably consider, well, should I buy another old boat and bring it there and park it up? One of your department's waste management tagged a vehicle outside of Fish Bay several months ago. I could tell you the make and the model and the color. A blue Chevy truck on the left-hand side of the wall there by Skelton. I passed the day when they were putting the tag on the vehicle. And I passed there about 3 days later and saw somebody removing the tag, which is an offense. But it shows the level of what we have become in the territory. There's no respect for the law, and there's disregard for people's property and public space. So tomorrow morning, your people should be going and hauling that vehicle off the road. And the same should apply to all those vehicles down in the various parking lots. When people come into town and they can't find a parking space, they can't find a parking space because 60% of it is occupied by derelict vehicles and abandoned vehicles, And then we want to know why the traffic is so bad and why people are parking here and there. If you strip all those vehicles out of those parking lots, I can guarantee you'll have a better situation in terms of the public being able to park. I'm going to pause for now.
Thank you for those questions. I'll take the first stab at it. As it pertains to the Orlando Smith Hospital, I was reading your remarks just a few days ago, incidentally, about what you said during that same sitting, but I wouldn't repeat them. But I can assure you, as we sit here, the sign is being manufactured. You haven't seen any action on the building as yet because we had a challenge with the scaffolding. I spoke to RDA just yesterday. I should get an update tomorrow because they have a very strict, the contract was signed in December to get the building cleaned up and the proper name put on the building, rightfully so. The mandate is to have those scaffolding done from that building before the hurricane season. That was what the RDA said to the contractor. And they're very correct because we know in March, that gives you like 3 months to get the scaffolding up, get the building cleaned up, and get the name. You're going to love the name when you see it. It's beautiful. The lights are beautifully from on the inside at night. There's no light shining on it. The sign itself glows. So it's not a $40,000 sign. I think the man who's named after deserves more than just a $40,000 sign. In terms of derelicts, it was only on Monday of this week that the land that we're going to use for the new derelict site was cleared off. The director and my team are down there today trying to get the bounds in to get a land fence so we can commence using it very, very soon and to get a contract in place. We've tagged over 200 vehicles so far, but there's no place to move them. But also, once they tag, you can remove the tag if you want. We know exactly what we tagged before. So as soon as we have the site prepared, which hopefully should take a couple of weeks to do, you're going to see derelict cars moving to make your head spin, because there's a lot out there. Where is the new site? It's at Parkwood Pond. Very close to where they were the original time, but not the same. But very, very close. Close to probably 2 acres of land. But it comes with some very strict rules as to how it's to be prepared, where you stage, where you store the oil, where you put concrete. So it's going to be properly set up. It has to be fenced here. That's part of getting prepared. One person's coming and they're scavenging stuff off the derelicts and creating a and all sort of thing. So you have to make sure the site is properly secured to make the operation seamless and safe and not a junk heap. We are starting in Rotown. We have tagged 192 cars so far. So the record is there. We will start in Rotown.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable. Before we go into, 1 second, Miss, and we'll come to you in a second, okay? Before we allow Honorable Major to speak, I just want to address your concern about the roundabout. The roundabout is a very beautiful, yes, but it's safety. Because you can't see around the roundabout when you're coming around. And I know some people say you don't need to see, but they have a lot of accidents on that roundabout. And then also persons will say, well, they don't follow the lines. But it's still a matter of safety, and roundabouts across the world, you can see around them. And the trees are too huge. And we will take out the trees and place them somewhere else. We thought about putting them in the Queen Elizabeth Park as well. But the idea also is to, because it's central, an opportunity to create something that symbolizes, whether it's cultural, whatever the selection would be, but to be a little bit more nationalistic and have a symbol in the center of a town that could show our national or cultural heritage pride. Depends on what will come back in terms of the competition, because I wanted to involve the community in this. We decided to put out a competition and allow persons to enter and submit their ideas, and then it will be selected. But I believe it's because of the safety measures why, and it's something that has been talked about for quite some time. And it's really getting more where you can, not visible, you can't see the next person, and it could probably avoid some accidents if you could see who's coming around and who's going in the wrong lane to avoid some of these accidents. Just about every week or every month or something, there's an accident, and the accident is in more or less the same area. That's when you're turning and you're going to Fleming Street or to Fishlock Road. You're coming around and the person is going on the inner lane and they want to go on the outer one to get around there, and the accidents there a lot. I see quite a bit. But it's safety measures. And we're not going to, we're going to take out the planters, the plants, and it depends on what the selected design is. That's what we're going to do.
Is there any way to incorporate at least the lower shrubs, hedges into the...
Yes, there will be shrubs. There will be shrubs. The existing ones, depends on the design that comes in, and then of course we need to do the design because you need to cost it. What would the cost be before we can even cost the entire project? It will be included in how the entire project would go, and then we'll put out tenders for the project itself. But we need to see the design, cost it, and then give a holistic cost to put out the tender. But yes, there will be some beautification aspect of it as well. It's not just the symbol or the structure that will win. There will be some beautification to it.
There was another area that I forgot to mention to you. It's the area going to the city when we talk about get back. On the 82 side.
An eyesore.
It's becoming an eyesore now.
Yes.
It's beginning to look like a slum. And I think you need to wrap your arms around that. Have conversation with the landowners.
Yes, Honorable Vincent, he has addressed it because of the health issues.
We just can't continue to have that face for tourism product. I mean,
Yeah.
I always put the people first. It's us that live here.
Yeah.
But if the visitors are coming and seeing that, it doesn't do well for us.
Yes. And in terms of the Sir Alva Georges Plaza, I did make an attempt to get the fountain work, but we have to take another stab at it and get that fountain going and stop the parking. But they put up the things are there, but they still take them out and go park in there. So we will address that. And the farmers, they insist they're not going to the market area. So we have to address that. And the restaurateur, I think the city manager did address that, but we will go back at that again and possibly get them to deal with that. But yes, I recognize that. And we did talk about the Sir Alva Georges Plaza, enhancing it a bit and giving a bit more history about it and probably putting up a plaque because it was a bungalow, it was a market area, so there's some historical aspect of it that we need to include there as well. So we're strapped for time, but we're going to allow, and thank you for your questions and your expression of concerns, Mr. Christian. We're going to allow Honorable Mehta to speak.
Good evening, everyone. My apologies. I was here earlier for those of you who came after I left, but I had to deal with something. Good evening to everyone. It's good to see your faces. I just wanted to give brief updates on the assignments that I have through the Premier's office. The first being the rated program. As Honorable Hart-Smith said, we've recommenced. I don't want to say bush cutting because I want to bring a little bit more pride to what these gentlemen and some ladies do in our community. It's a difficult task to go out in the mornings and be in the hot sun with a weed whacker or a machete, sometimes other tools to be cutting bush. So I think it should be redefined or looked at more as beautification and also control in terms of the shrubs and the bush that they're cutting. So I encourage everyone to look at it in a different light. The teams are out throughout the territory trying to keep back the bush that we have. Within the next 90 days, we're going to relaunch it with an aim towards having the gentlemen feel that they are more involved, that they're more appreciated, and also to have them do more things. As I said in the House of Assembly several times, our people can do more than bush cutting, and my colleagues agree with that. So we're going to make some gains towards that. We'll also be relaunching the apprenticeship program. There are two parts of it. There's a part within the government internally to be placed. Just today, I got a call from one of the government departments that spoke about persons entering the rated program as temporary employees through that system and then going on to have substantive posts within the government. That's the kind of things I want to hear. So our young people or people across the board want jobs and we need to give them to them. And the other side of it would be employment in the private sector. So I see some people in here. I'm going to make eye contact with you. Once our people are given some soft skills and other things, I would like you and your businesses to consider employing people in the territory, Virgin Islanders who want jobs, who need to be able to learn and carry on the mantle in many fields within our country. So please don't break eye contact with me when I make it with you. I appreciate that. I'm also tasked with, along with Dr. Dawson and the Premier, to revitalize, bring a little bit more of a national awareness towards the agricultural fair. So the fair will be on the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th of April. There'll be an opening ceremony on the 10th at the Eileen Parsons Auditorium. At the college, we'll be celebrating and appreciating, evening Premier. We will be celebrating farmers and fishers who've done tremendous work in the territory over the years. So look out for that. Additionally, we'll have 2 days of the fair. The fair will be held in Rotown. You'll hear more about that. We're excited because on those days, the 10th and the 11th, we have 2 ships in on each day. So we're hoping that our tourists can also partake in our culture and also be able to see greased pigs being caught, taste some of our cuisine and other things, and hopefully that will allow our farmers to be able to feel they are appreciated, that we can take a step forward in the right direction. There is also the Community Empowerment Fund that the Premier has announced, which will be coming on stream. It links funding to nonprofit organizations in our communities to help build our community. So we have civic groups within our community that do projects, and you're encouraged as soon as it's announced to apply for it. You have associations in the community as well who've been doing work. You should consider applying to it if there's a project you would like to do that will uplift and build our community in many different areas. And then lastly, I wanted to go before Honorable Vincent Wheatley. I have been champion in the House of Assembly before election, and then when I got in for all sexual offenses bills to be updated, and I know he may have spoken about it, and I'm grateful to the government for pushing this forward. And they did push it forward. I will say this publicly, despite where I sat on the aisle, and I am grateful for that. And now that we are closer to it, I encourage everyone within our community to take a look at it. This is very important for our community when it comes to protecting our children. Please weigh in on it. Please look at it and give it your support. All right? I'm open for if there's any questions to me. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Honorable Mehta. Before we open the floor again for more questions and expression of concerns, we'd like to welcome the Honorable Premier, Dr. the Honorable Natalia Whitley, and then give him the opportunity to speak.
Good evening, people of the 4th District. It's my honor, my privilege to be among you this evening. Grateful for the opportunity to interact with you. To be able to give you updates on what we're doing as a government, what we're doing here in the 4th District, how we're supporting your elected representative. She has our full, unconditional support. And of course, as the cabinet minister responsible for, the subjects that I have assigned to her, she has my full support. And she also has my full support as the Minister of Finance and as the Premier. And of course, we are happy to see that some things which have been in the works are progressing now. And we expect even more works to be taking place for the remainder of this year and into next year. But, things take time. This is the nature of governance, but I know the commitment of the district representative. I know her heart, I know her integrity, I know her passion. She's someone who cares deeply for this district and the people who inhabit it and who work in it. And it's been a pleasure to work with her, watching her vision for the district come to life. Everything won't be perfect, because that is life. Anybody who sells you a dream that everything is perfect, that's not someone that you can trust. We have challenges that we need to overcome. That's why I'm grateful for the team that we have here, because we have persons who are critical thinkers, persons who are problem solvers, persons who are responsive, persons who care. And we are seeking to overcome whatever barriers and hurdles which are presented to us and fighting for progress. We're not afraid to do things differently because to do the same thing over and over and expect different results is what some persons term as insanity. So we're not afraid to try something new. We're not afraid of making mistakes because, of course, making mistakes is a part of growth. But make no mistake about it, we are deeply committed to this territory. We're deeply committed to the well-being and the progress of the people of the 4th District. And we are all here to show support to the elected representative. And I won't say too much more than that, but of course, if anything comes up in the meeting that I can contribute to, I'm very happy to share whatever information I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier. Now we reopen the floor for questions and expression of concerns. I see Mrs. Oh, sorry. We're going to start with her first. Ms. Thompson, yes.
Good evening, everyone. I am Rosita Scatliff Thompson. I have some important concerns and perspectives to share with you this evening. One is, in this day and time where there are so many time constraints and pressures to be at point A to point B, I'm not sure if I've missed this. In terms of school zones, are there any wardens at the crosswalk? Because this is my observation with the children. Like I said, we have a lot of constraints and pressures with time to be to work, from work, or just basically from point A to B. And I think it will be very beneficial if we have an extra eye helping our children, whether it's to walk a little faster across the road, or just basically help the drivers to be aware that they're actually children trying to cross the road. How do you feel about more present crossing wardens at the crosswalk during school times that can help these children go from A to B? That's one. My second perspective that I would like for us to look at is, do we have a place in the fort that we consider as a community center? And if we don't, maybe I've missed it. Is there any possible plans to have one in place or develop or built or designated? The next one is, this might be overlooked as well, on the highway. Now, I love the taxis because most of them are actually my family. But have you noticed before in our community, particularly in that point where used to be the old Citco, the post office, there's somehow that spot right there on the sidewalk seems to be designated as a taxi stop, bus stop. But have you, if it's not, so please tell me, but have you realized that when persons are there waiting to get a taxi or a bus to their designations, that it's in the midst of the highway traffic, and these taxis and buses stop right there in the flow of highway traffic, and it causes quite a delay, and sometimes I must say accidents, because in that moment the person behind the taxi often tries to overtake into the right lane. If it's not a designated taxi stop or bus stop, could one be available for the persons that need to get from town to the eastern side of the island? And perhaps going forward, when we're trying to reconstruct or engineer our roads, potentially put a pull-off area so that persons can say, okay, that's a taxi stand. I have a little clap there. That's a taxi stand, that's a bus stop, that's, of course, we can fit two different points together, which is the person starting who's trying to get a ride home, and the taxi or the bus stopping for these individuals. My next point, perspective or concern to look at, garbage dumps. Now, I know sewage and garbage disposal has always been a thing for us here. And what I'm hoping to propose is maybe not Einstein, but I have realized, and I've lived in the Fourth all my life, I'm right there, Scatliff Alley. I've realized that there used to be a couple of dumping sites around the town area. Now, I know Crandall's, from Crandall's going down towards Seekers Bay, that hits the 3rd district. There's a demarcation right there. However, right there by Prospect, by the roundabout, there used to be a dump site opposite where the Prospect is. It's been removed. Now we're coming into town, from Prospect coming right back in town, past Crandall's, Queen Elizabeth Park, the government house. There used to be a dump site right there. It's also been removed. The other closest one that I can remember is actually Scatliff Alley Fire Station. My question is, if you're removing these garbage disposal spots, and persons, and I've seen it, would take their garbage from their homes, whether hold it outside the vehicle or on top, looking for these spots to drop them off on their way to town or to take their children to school, and these spots have been removed. Where else have you placed them? From Scatliff Alley, you'd have to actually deter off the highway to go into that alley there. The normal person in the morning is not going to do that. Other than Scatliff Alley, where's the next one? I cannot even self-recall, because I would think the next one is, it is actually that gap to go by Johnson's Gut, by Davis Funeral Home. That's the next one. I'm just thinking that perhaps you've removed, and I'm just saying whoever is responsible for this, may not be necessarily you, Honorable, but they have been removed, but there has been no other designated spot. And I think that that puts a lot of us in a grave, it's not convenient. Now, I know the garbages had a horrible scent, and I'm thinking that could be a potential point. It could also be potentially that these things were placed on people's land. I'm not sure, but could you just shed some light on that, please? Thank you.
Yes, I'm coming to you now. Okay, in terms of the school zones, I know the crosswalks are an issue. They probably need to be highlighted a bit more. There used to be wardens, crosswalk wardens. I know they are at the outer schools, so we can look into that some more in terms of, and also highlighting and keeping the crosswalks highlighted when the paint is faded. Just continuously put it back so that, you know, drivers can see the crosswalk is there and there are pedestrians on there. I've seen some close calls where, you know, the drivers don't stop and the person is actually on the crosswalk, you know. So yes, we could pay more attention to that in terms of saving or protecting our students while they're on the road. Okay, the community center, I think there was an idea of the community center, but that we used to use the Sir Rupert Radcliffe Hall as a community center, whatever you're having. This meeting probably would have been there at the Sir Rupert Radcliffe Hall. But there, and that's in District 5, yes, but it was used for the entire community that needed to have an event there. So we have to replace that whole area. There's some ideas that are thrown out there of rebuilding it back there or what is going to go there, but you are correct, we need to rebuild that community center. So that could probably be one of the projects to go back there, and it could be multi-use for that, okay? The Sitco area, that has been addressed as far as I'm concerned, but folks are so used to their old ways. There is a bus stop, And the buses are supposed to go to that bus stop, and persons that need to catch a bus need to go, which is at the park, at the market square. It's in that area. But persons are so used to stopping in that area, and buses are now, I see they're stopping there as well. I think it's just a matter of enforcing, policing the area a bit more. And that's one of the things we can probably talk to the police about when we have that meeting. As I said, we will be discussing with the police, community policing, and we could talk about that and see if they could have, especially after work hours, people go there to catch rides to go to their homes in the eastern area. So we can follow up on that and try our best. I know Minister Rama may want to talk about that area as well. It's very narrow. And there was a thought of widening it, so you can probably, the same circle area.
Thank you for your question. We see the challenge there. The ministry, we are to engage taxi and livery inspectors. We had them at one point where they were managing the area. They were forced to utilize the bus stop that we have demarked there, the market square. But now, in the absence of that, those guys have reverted to being back there in the corner. So that is something, hopefully within the next few weeks, we will get our inspectors back and we'll be able to properly manage the flow, or, those operators picking up people in that location. So, I think it's a habit that we have. Those guys feel that, feel that they'll get more passengers on the corner, but we're hoping to filter those passengers through the bus stop.
They're widening up the road there? You were going to do that? No? Okay. All right, in terms of the garbage bins, yes, there have been my discussions with the directors, all three directors that I've dealt with since I've been in this position, and now Mr. Davies, the new director, about the garbage bins. There are actually requests to remove those bins. But what I will ask Mr. Davies to do, if he can give us an update on how he plans to address this issue, because it is a concern for him. So, Mr. Davies, you give him a microphone, please.
Good night, everyone. I'm Brian Davis, the new Director of Waste Management. Your concerns are duly noted. At this point, I would say to you that for many reasons, the bins were removed. But what we need to do at this stage is we need to look at some, what I would consider micro solutions. You're probably aware that the ministry is currently launching a deposit refund system right now with plastics. It's a city of Rotong, so there's a lot of businesses, and businesses in themselves are the ones that were abusing the bins, in my opinion. And even if we were to put back the bins, we would end up having the same problem. So what we're doing is we're looking at creating some tailored solutions to, number one, for the residents. I think we've already started some house-to-house in certain areas, and we plan to expand that within this year. We're also looking at doing some other solutions, probably getting some contractors, private haulers to do strategic collections, routine collections, scheduled collections in different areas to help with the problem. And in addition to that, we also want to look at redeploying some bins in some strategic locations, but also doing it with a context of beautifying around it. So when you look at it, you don't see a bin or a community dumpster. Aesthetically, it looks probably fenced properly and stuff like that. So those are some of the things that we're doing to solve the problem. We also have to acknowledge the fact that we don't have an incinerator currently, so the operating hours at Parkwood Pond is limited. And as a result of that, again, another thing that we're doing as a strategy is sort of extending the hours, but specifically to certain persons. Obviously to solve the Rotong area, which is a commercial area. There's a lot of waste generated every day in Rotong. It's not like a typical residential area where, you know, people are going to take out the garbage in the morning, go to work somewhere, and then come back in the afternoon, and then again you're generating waste again in some context. It's a city, there's constant waste being generated, and again, with those dumpsters being there, I'm assuming that my predecessors, well, the people before me would have made decisions for many reasons. It could have been land issues, it could have been issues where the bins were being overflown very quickly, leading to a lot of not just aesthetic issue, but health issues. Because even with the contractors and the great work that they're doing, it's only so much they can do. They could literally empty a bin now, and then in the next 30 minutes, you're seeing the bin overflown again. Because again, the bin is there, the businesses see it as it's easier for me to just put it in the bin than to pay a trucker and stuff like that. So again, there's a number of things that we're looking at. But I think that we're on the right path with the legislation as well. We need to strengthen that so there's more enforcement, there's more heavier fines to curtail those type of illegal practices and so on. So I can say to you that yes, it's something that we're looking at critically. It's a mandate that was given to me, obviously, by the ministry and the minister to take a very critical look at that again, just in a way to solve it, especially in Rotong and many other areas. I hope that has answered your concerns. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Davies. Mrs. Gums.
Good afternoon. Can I sit?
Yes, of course.
I have 3 questions, and I think they belong to the Minister of Health. I remember some time ago, earlier in the year or towards the end of last year, when he spoke about the mosquito situation. And he was asking the population to make sure that they're not harboring or encouraging mosquitoes. I've been looking at the gut by Scatliff Alley, and there is stagnant water there for months. If you pass there now, you'll see it. And bushes growing in that gut. So I need you to check that out. The next thing I want to find out, how soon will the Senior Citizen Center in Rotong be operational? I know it was there by the Red Cross building, and it has ceased to be there for a long time. Now, I am a senior citizen. I would like to go someplace other than some of the places that I go to. And there is nowhere to go. You could go to church sometime, but every day you need to go someplace. I could take my husband there and you could probably meet people to talk to. So all we are doing is sitting down at home, watching TV, talking to ourselves, talking to the phone. So you will soon get a whole lot of people who are going to develop dementia. So I am still active. I could still find something to do. I try to ask what I can volunteer to do sometime, but I guess they feel that I'm not able. So I would like to find out how soon that situation could be rectified. I know Ms. Scatliff going all the way to Carrot Bay when she's able to the senior center. That's outrageous. Old Ms. Scatliff in her 90s. You understand? That's outrageous. We had a vibrant senior citizen center down there. I wasn't a senior then, and I used to pass by. So why must I be sitting at home? I ain't got no housework to do. The next thing is that the field over there, the bandstand. I live in Longbush. I don't think I have no place to go. Even when I die, I stay in Longbush. I go to the cemetery right there. Now, when I came to Tortola to live, there was a bathroom in the bandstand. They used to call it Gaza or something like that. People used to sleep in it. It wasn't properly maintained. That bathroom disappeared years ago, years ago. Every time people gotta ask me, Miss Gums, where I could go and relieve myself. You understand what I mean? We need something done to that. I see a temporary thing was there, but that's not good enough. We got children playing there all day, all night. And I really want to find out who is responsible for taking off the lights. Because the lights going on all night. So, please look after those three things for me. The Senior Citizen Center, the bathroom, and the gutter right there with the water is going to make us get mosquito-borne diseases. Thank you very much.
So I thank you for your observations and your questions. I will have someone go to the Scatter Alley.
One more thing. The representative spoke about removing some of the trees by the roundabout and taking them to
Possibly.
Queen Elizabeth Park, possibly. I have another suggestion. You could think about it. You know the alleyway from Simply Delicious straight through going up to Bolo's?
Oh, yes, that's going to be
There's a
fixed.
walkway there.
Yeah.
Let's put those trees there with some nice benches so that I can sit when I'm walking.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Let me address that. Thank you so much, Ms. Gum. Some really great comments and suggestions. I'll start with what you're talking about from Simply Delicious to Vanderpool. That's the pedestrian walkway. And that is also one of the tender projects that we put out to get designs for that area. So yes, that's being addressed. The mosquitoes is a gut at Scatliff Alley. I will let Mr. Hodge from Public Works talk about that, please. Well, she was saying that if we clean the gut, it could eliminate the mosquitoes.
All right, good evening, everyone. We're fully aware of the situation with the gut that goes Scatliff Alley. If you guys are aware that the way to get into that, the only way to get in is basically to go behind of Hazim's, and then there's a barrier that we have to remove. The barrier is very heavy, and in order for us to remove the barrier, we usually use a load all. There's already a PO for someone to go and clean it. The load all was done. We finally got it back up, and we just ordered a battery for it because the battery was dead. So once we get the battery, we'll get the load all up and working, and then we're going to be able to remove the barrier. Once we're able to remove the barrier, the contractor that we hire to clean the gut is going to go in there and clean it. So we're hoping to have that started by next week. Well, this week? Oh, my bad, this week. This week, so it's even sooner.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. The Senior Citizens Center, yes, we did ask for that to be restored or to be reestablished, and we are in constant communication with the Department of Social Development, and Mrs. George, who is the director now, really working on getting it restored. Unfortunately, there's a department in their space at the moment, and that department is the Environmental Health Department and Social Development. But Social Development did move some of their space over to behind Careers in Seacows Bay. So hopefully they could find a space for this particular department, because they've been there since the hurricane. And until they get a space, unfortunately, they have to stay there. And efforts are being made, as you mentioned, to their part of the Senior Citizens Program in West End, and they are transported. They seem comfortable. Maybe you may want to consider going there, but you want to go so far. But we are working with the Social Development Department to get it restored, and they're ready to get it, but once that could move out, maybe the minister could share.
Some of our seniors, being at home idle is not good for them. There are two excellent programs at Western and Eastern, but I understand that travel could be a challenge. So we do intend to get the Rotong program up as quickly as possible. I was hoping it would have been up by now, because the department did move, to make space for the seniors to come in. They have moved to Seacoast, been a Korea's building. So I made a note of your concern. I should have a response for you. If not tonight, by tomorrow. I'll send a message to find out exactly where they are in the process of reestablishing the Rotong program.
The bandstand area, I'll let Honorable Shari talk about that because that's under the Recreation Trust.
Thank you for your question and your concern. I have to sit with the team at the Recreation Trust and the ministry who deals with infrastructural projects regarding sports to figure out an overall plan of how we're going to deal with restroom facilities at recreational facilities. I'll give an example. We have a robust Terrence Shinnery League happening over there, even as we speak. But I know while we have bathroom facilities at that location, they are not properly maintained. So the challenge I have put forward is we're not going to build new facilities until we maintain the ones we have. And so I know recently to facilitate this event, we would have done some just remedial work to ensure there was lighting and some other things so they are operational. But my intention is that once the league ends, we will do some more measured walks. I am constrained. I want to be upfront in saying that I am constrained regarding funding for recreational facilities this budget cycle, but I'm hopeful that once we get the estimates, if there is a need, we will seek to engage the Minister of Finance for additional funding. But the Ewalwin Brewery softball field was one of the facilities that was prioritized in the limited funding that we have. So I don't have an immediate answer for the bandstand, but I believe it's something once we do get the couple that we have up, we can then put a strategic plan in place that allows for the proper maintenance of the additional facilities that we build.
While I understand the constraints of the bathroom situation, I think if we start to appoint groundsmen, you understand? Groundsmen. We have 3 facilities along Bush Road. We have a groundsman with some assistants, and they are responsible for maintaining the grounds and maintain the bathroom, and you pay them a salary. You can't just have it like that. Pay them a salary. Right, Minister of Finance? We allocate some money for salaries for the ground staff for these facilities in Rotong. We have big tournaments coming up, people coming from overseas, people investing a lot of money to bring these people here to play basketball, baseball, and all these things, and we don't have no proper bathroom. That's not nice. So we got to invest some money if we want to make money. We got to pay people. Let's pay some, if it's 3 people responsible. Chappie, you get 4 people to clean the bathroom, or 2 ladies and a man, and get everything done. Chappie is going to be in charge. You understand? So right there and then, we have 5 workers for government to pay. And then the people will be able to pick up some money at the grounds when they have baseball or whatever they have to assist. Nothing won't be free. They have good games there and nobody wants to pay. Nobody wants to pay. This is the first country I come to where people don't want to pay to go to a game. They're outside. They don't want, only when the Spanish people got something, everybody paying. They're paying because they like to pay sometimes. They want to know something good. But that's not nice. We don't have the facilities to. I mean, it's tourism. These people come with their wives and their children. I mean, I get some business off of them, which I'm happy. But at the same time, we got to get the facilities going. And Longbush, it look like they're treating Longbush like some stepchild, like nobody lived there. People live there, we are human beings. We want to see nice things done to Longbush. You understand? So, Minister Whitley, put some money in a bag, tie it around your waist, and say this is for Longbush, and fix the place. Minister of Education,
go right ahead.
I've already said I got constraints with money, but this morning I hear you say I get $70,000, you got $70 million, you know.
Yes, but not much of that is in recreational facilities.
Okay, good.
Just want to be blunt,
All
right?
right.
And we have to make a decisive decision around how we deal with recreational
All right,
facilities.
good, okay.
We're
Okay.
talking about sometimes having $50,000 in the budget for all recreational facilities across the territory. So I'm just being forthright, because I'm not going to tell you I could do something and I can't get it done. I do want to say, because you spoke about Longbush, and I know recently through one of our donor partners, some work was done on the basketball court, so I want to acknowledge that. So some love has been given to Longbush, but I do acknowledge that there is need for more, but we have to do it in a strategic way. My team was out doing an assessment of all the recreational facilities because we're trying to bring back community sports, but we have to look at the facilities first before we start trying to engage people in those sports. So hopefully, like I said, we'll have an assessment and a cost around how we want to at least rejuvenate some specific ones. And then, like you said, the Minister of Finance, that post that you're telling put on his waist, he will have in some money so we could do some things.
All right, thank you. There's someone in the back. Right back there. Oh, there's a live.
Let me just say before we move off that point, Sister Camille did, address me directly, so I just wanted to say, as Minister of Finance, I'm going to work with the district representative and the Minister of Education to see if we can get some facilities going, okay? I'll make that commitment.
Wonderful.
Okay? Okay. Okay, good.
Okay, so a couple of questions from the
question
live.
Question on Facebook, and then we'll talk to you, Zoe, 1 second. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, that's what she was trying to.
Good evening. I heard Mr. Christian spoke about over by the cruise ship pier, but he spoke about over on the Betito side. But I went down there some days ago, and when you go upstairs to the building, you notice that just behind, that's your mama, there's a auto mechanic shop, something like that going on there. It tells you that we are going back to what we got away from with the tent city. It doesn't look good. The whole area doesn't look good. We got to get it cleaned up. Couple of years ago, I called in on a show, I think, to VIP show, and I asked about the contractors in the picking up the garbage, if it can be done 2 times a day, especially in the town. We need to do something. I heard the new boss saying that they're doing something about it. That's good, but for now we need to do something because those bins are overflowing. Now when it comes to the bathroom at the softball field, the young lady has stepped up her job and she's doing a lot better. I heard the young lady asked about the softball field. I don't know what she means about the softball field, but I know that the boss I get down on her and she's doing a lot better. In terms of committing jobs for youngsters, we have 2 things that could create some jobs. The traffic warden could be brought back, and that would help with the crossing guards, because I used to do it. We were traffic wardens, which is designated by the minister to issue and serve fixed penalty tickets. And we used to do traffic crossing guard duty as well. And I think there's something called road warden under the same ministry, communication and works, where people could ease the minister's job and go around and check the areas in different districts and bring a report so that work could be done. I think we could utilize that and give some of the youths some jobs.
Thank you so much.
Chappie, in terms of the bins, 'cause we started a program a few weeks ago. We were doing an additional run. We did it in 7th, I think the 8th, the 5th, and the 6th. The bins you're speaking about are where? In town. Okay, well, the 2 boxes are behind us, so they're listening. So, Marcel, get your surveillance to verify. Okay, the courthouse wasn't empty yesterday morning because there was a safari blocking the garbage truck from accessing it. That's why that was overflowing, I think yesterday or the day before. But yes, so they've made notes of it. Thank you.
Well, the auto mechanic shop behind your mama's is not really supposed to be operating there. So we'll have to take a look at that. And in terms of, I think you mentioned, you talked about the garbage collection all day long?
Additional run. Yes.
Additional runs, okay, so that will be. I don't think overtime was included. It wasn't included, but what we are trying to do is have a collaboration between the city manager's office and the Department of Waste Management. Both departments or units have sanitation workers. Well, they do clean the bush, city manager's office, and then the sanitation workers for Department of Waste Management, they do the garbage, but they don't do bush. So what we're trying to do, and both groups work, one starts at 5, one starts at 6 in the morning, and they both end at 1 in the afternoon. I have written to the former director, and we had some discussions about extending their times or even working on shifts, but that didn't work out because it wasn't permitted. But Mr. Davies has agreed that he will pursue it again and possibly have the collaboration between the 2 departments, city manager's office and his office, and they could work together as one group, because they could use the resources, the human and the tools to get some of this work done. Because by the end of 1 o'clock, there's still garbage in the evenings from 1 to closing times. And so we are working on that, trying to bring that collaboration together. We've had several meetings. It's just for us to finalize how it's going to work, and we should be able to push that out hopefully very soon. Okay, so that is a very good point, because there is garbage throughout the day. So.
Something was mentioned also about close-up bins in the area.
Yeah. Close-up bins. Brian, close-up bins in Rotown. He needs a microphone.
Yeah, good night again. Carla, thank you for the call. Yes, there's a number of things we're currently exploring, as I mentioned earlier. And we will come back to the public in short order in terms of some of the programs and micro solutions that we're currently exploring. So we'll come back to you. Thank you.
All right. We're going to wrap up in a little while, so Miss Zoe, let Miss Zoe go before.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Now give that to her.
thank you.
Good evening, Premier. Good evening, honorable ministers, heads of department, ladies, gentlemen. Archie and quite a number of you have said quite a bit that was already on my mind. And it goes back to what Honorable De Castro was saying, which was the concern with continuing to build new things without maintaining those that are already existing. And so one of the things that were mentioned that I would like us to consider is establishing professional standards, as was also mentioned by Chappie regarding the type of businesses, pop-up businesses, metal businesses. So we've traded Tent City for Metal City. We've traded Tent City for, it just looks and makes town look very unkept. And if you've been aboard the ship and you look down, it's even more horrifying. I don't want to make this just about the tourists that are coming here, because I believe in building here for us and let everybody else benefit as a result of the pride that we have for ourselves. So I would like to see us establishing standards for pop-up businesses, like the car washes. We have too many runoffs, the place looking really dilapidated, and it doesn't mean we stop commerce. What it means is we redefine what that looks like. I'd also like to see if we can get an update on the boardwalk and whether or not, because we do have issues in terms of how far we extend the road to allow for bike lanes. We see from a tourism perspective, we have a number of way more bikers. And the truth is, as the country tends to grow, we're hoping that people will take a healthier route, whether they choose to bike to work. I've seen quite a bit more activity. And so potentially on the boardwalk, if we could consider a bike lane, recognizing that we already have sort of an issue with how much we can extend the road. I'd like an update if you can, because I'm hearing different information regarding the festival grounds. I'll be honest, I had a little apoplexy when I realized or heard that there was consideration for taking prime land and putting a festival village. And even as we're looking towards entertainment tourism, one of the things we would have noted is when Iona came in, and for those of you that really don't follow cruise, but you don't have to follow cruise to realize that when Iona birthed and they stayed overnight, the level of commerce, it redefined what cruise tourism means for the BVI, because way more businesses were making money. And so I just would like us to take a look at putting a festival village in a space that it may not necessarily bring what we're hoping for us to bring. Because what time does town close? Remember when we used to look at Pussers, Bambouche? They used to thrive before. But we also know there were complaints based on the time the music would be going. So if the mechanisms that are already in place, the businesses that are in place, we're not creating that economic opportunity for them, then why would we be putting a festival village that as boats are docking up, the place is empty? It sets a bad tone. And the truth is, people are looking at more expansion for cruise, mega yachts. So we want to make sure that we have a diversity in terms of the offering that's right on the cusp of Road Town. Honorable Luce Hodge Smith, I am a festival baby, and I know this isn't the festival conversation, but I am hoping that we can reconsider the timing for the parade. And this is only because just even a year and a half ago, we already had persons reaching out to us because they wanted to hold their mass family gatherings. So people have already made bookings on the basis that the one thing they could count on, whether we promote it or not, whether we advertise or not, Ms. BVI is the Sunday, parade is the Monday, and you know the Rise and Shine, of course, would be the earlier in the day. When we spread it so thin, we're working towards entertainment tourism, but we're not there. I saw somebody made a post on their Instagram page and said, we don't have a festival. Apparently, what they consider in the UK to be a festival isn't what our festival looks like to them. But here is what we did have: a continuity of events at one time that allowed persons, whether you wanted to do Miss BVI, whether you wanted to Rise and Shine, whether you wanted, there was a plethora of things. There used to be the car show, the boat show Saturday. And maybe that might be an option the day before, the Saturday before versus the Saturday following, because that's typically when most people are booking to leave the territory that weekend. So I just wanted to posit that, but also to highlight the fact that people would have already made arrangements on the basis. So maybe the timing in terms of notification now might be better than trying to run it this year. Just a humble suggestion. The last thing, in fact, no, there are two more things. we have a boat cemetery in the Village Key area that acts as a dam. So we know that we already have some significant flooding issues in that area where businesses are affected. We're heading into the hurricane season. Can anybody give an idea in terms of time frame? What are the plans surrounding the boat cemetery in that area? Because 1st of June is fast approaching. And the last question that I'll ask is, are we still on target for the library? Okay. I'll sit in.
Thank you. Thank you very much for those questions and suggestions, of course. The establishment of the professional standards for pop-up businesses, that's a good idea. But I believe the city manager's office is who really controls those businesses and give them permission or not permission to just pop up. So we'll have the discussions, because city manager's office is really responsible for that land because it's under their control, if I'm not correct. But go ahead.
The point I'm making is not only is it a visual, but in most cases it creates, when you have even the running water. So what I'm saying is to create a structure like which there is some level of symbiotic, so it can work, it can function, but just establish certain guidelines under which they're operating.
Yeah.
Because right now, whether it's a city manager or not, we continue to try to work with them, similar to working with trade, and we're still having a lot of fundamental issues. You have leases being subleased on an expired lease, and there are a lot of issues that are not being addressed. So it's why I'm bringing it here, because there are certain things that I understand might be under somebody, it's affecting what your district looks like.
All right, thank you very much for that. We will have more discussions with the city manager's office about those issues. Update on the boardwalk. The boardwalk, yes, is a plan for the improvement of Rotown. We are awaiting the master plan. There have been a couple of master plans done, or improvement plans for Rotown, but they are outdated. As I mentioned earlier, we are going to make an announcement very soon about the master plan for Rotown. Although we are addressing some of the issues that we can right now, making some changes and some improvements. We already, of course, announced the banister area across from the watering hole that was done by Mrs. Nona Vanterpool Bonelli as part of her family's anniversary of the Vanterpool Pharmacy. So we are thankful to her for taking the initiative to get that project done. There are 2 other projects of persons interested in making improvements in other areas, but we won't release that now until they're actually finalized. So until we get to the master plan and all the areas that we're going to be covering, we are making some strides in smaller projects. So the boardwalk is going to be continued as a project that we aspire to have. So that will come on stream very soon. So again, it will be included in the master plan as it has been in other plans before this particular plan. The festival grounds, I'll let the Premier speak about that. But the idea of the festival grounds moving is not that it would be some dilapidated site. But I'll let the Premier speak about that. I don't know if we'll be able to have that up and running for this year or sometime in the future. But I know he desires to have it done, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, thank you. The festival grounds moving to that site has been a hot topic. We know. I actually think that it will be an improvement. First of all, let me say I've traveled to different Caribbean countries.
Yes.
And many of these Caribbean countries have a permanent festival site. You'll see it in St. Martin. You'll see it in Anguilla. In fact, some of our people travel to these countries and then they say, why doesn't BVI have a permanent site? And then when we look to develop a permanent site, it's not important. I think it will help us to save some resources to have a permanent site as opposed to building up and tearing down every year. And we can have some facilities which are fit for purpose. You can have a proper VIP area, proper concession area, proper area to shield you when it's raining. And the festival site wouldn't just be for festival alone. It's going to be an event space that's going to support, yes, entertainment, tourism, but also support all types of different events that the community would like to have. We would have a dedicated space. We are contemplating building a stage area, so you don't always have to, for different types of events, build up a stage, and a lot of money goes towards the stage for the events. You can just have your lighting and your sound system, etc. You can have proper dressing rooms, permanent dressing rooms, so you can have a certain level of accommodation for your local and your foreign artists when they are performing. I actually like the location next to the Pear Park. I think it creates a great synergy between the Pear Park when the festival is taking place. And I believe that the cruise passengers will be able to enjoy experiencing Virgin Islands culture. Now, we have the visitors come here, and sometimes we're afraid to introduce them to our culture. We're afraid to introduce them to our food. We're afraid to introduce them to our dance. We're afraid to introduce them to, our music. And this presents an opportunity. Just like Honorable Meta spoke about in terms of the agriculture fair for the farmers, for the fishers. You spoke about the fact that during the fair on the April 11th, 12th, we'll have cruise ships in. This presents us an opportunity for persons who will be able to purchase, a much bigger, how many people are on those ships? 2,000-3,000 each, right? 2,000-3,000 people each. That presents an opportunity for persons to sell their goods to the visitors, in addition to selling them to the locals. So what I would hope persons to see, as opposed to seeing the challenges, see the opportunities. See the opportunities that this presents. Don't just see problems. See opportunities for yourselves. And, we don't want it to take away from Rotown. We don't want to take away from the traditional aspects. In my opinion, it's just to add to it. And one of the problems we have now is overcrowding. Overcrowding in King Garden Bay, overcrowding in the baths. We have to create additional activities for our visitors to participate in, so that they're not going out to King Garden Bay and, taxi drivers rushing back and forth, and we see, what happened today with that. So, when you have that event space, then you have the opportunity to put on a play and have locals and visitors come and see the play. You have the opportunity of putting on a nice performance for persons. I remember I went to Barbados, and every Wednesday they had this venue that used to be Ram Jam pack of tourists. And all those tourists came to do is watch somebody drumming, somebody dancing, some simple stuff that we can do, Ram Jam pack, and they had to pay to get in. They had to pay at least $20 to get in. But somehow or the other in the Virgin Islands, we are not using the opportunities we have to be able to squeeze out some of that tourist dollar, and also to give the tourists additional things to do except for sun, sea, and sand. So we have the opportunity, but you need the facilities to be able to do these things. And that is the vision. Not everybody is going to agree with it. When you're leaders, you have to be brave enough to take some decisions, because not everybody is going to agree. If you're waiting to get every single person to agree, you'll never do anything. Because sometimes we like to, oppose things sometimes. And not to dismiss any legitimate concerns that persons may have. But I believe sometimes when you have a vision, you have to work to realize that vision. And sometimes when it is established, people say, oh, that was a good idea. That wasn't so bad. So I would say give it a chance. Give these new festival grounds in that particular location a chance. Give a permanent festival site a chance. Give an opportunity to interact with the cruise passengers and other guests and your own culture. Give that a chance. All right.
Let me also address the question that was raised about the parade and the very heated discussions that we have about it right now. The parade, August Monday parade, over the years, we have seen the deterioration of the August Monday parade, and you must admit it has been deteriorated. There are issues with the timing. We try to start at a certain time, and it doesn't get started until way after the time that you allot to have it started. We have children in the parade. They come early, but they have to wait for the adults. They get tired. They get frustrated. And we have the revelers in the tramp, the Rise and Shine tramp, are the same revelers that are supposed to participate in the parade. Now, we have tried to start the tramp on time so that we could end on time, but we have seen over the years that the tramp would get longer and longer. I think the last one last year ended at what, 9 o'clock in the morning? 10 o'clock in the morning. And we want to start the parade at 12. The bands that are in the tramp are the bands that are supposed to be in the parade as well. And you look at the quality of a parade, there are big gaps because, these persons are waiting for them to come down, and then we say, let's start the parade, and then the others will join in. But then we have these gaps, right? And we're expecting the troops to participate, to present themselves to the crowd, so they have to stop and perform, not just for the judges, but they stop and perform for the spectators as well. So what we are trying to do, and as a matter of fact, we have been discussing this behind the scenes for quite some time. It should have happened last year. We have had this discussed with the troop leaders, and the majority of them have no issues with changing the date from August Monday. And why change it to parade as opposed to the tramp? And I will stick with that, and I think maybe that's where they're confusing, where they say, I say it will stick to that. What I was sticking to is the tramp should not move, because that is significant to our parade, because it was August 1st, 1834, when the people took to the streets with their flambeaux and celebrated when they heard that the Emancipation Proclamation or whatever was read, and they were freed. Now, that's what oral history says, and we have done that over the past years. We have had it. We have August Monday as a holiday, the first Monday in August, recognized as that Monday. So the first August in Monday is a holiday, and that symbolizes that. So my thing is not to move the tramp because of its significance. Now, we have seen the evolution of the tramp into something else, but these are adults. How do you control adults, right? I don't know how we're going to get it controlled. We try our best for years, and you could say that we've been trying, and it hasn't stopped. So the idea of moving the parade, the suggestion was the last Saturday, because there's some changes that are happening in the festival that we don't necessarily want to promote now, because we want to give Virgin Gorda their promotion of their Easter festival. So there's a silent agreement where we don't promote Easter Emancipation Festival until after Easter Festival has gone, right? So there are some additional changes that are going to take place. Why we discuss these things about the Emancipation Festival, because it should have happened in November, it didn't, but we brought it forward. Now, the parade is a significant part of our festival celebrations, but it has nothing to do with our emancipation. I misspoke when I said it was because of the visit of Queen Elizabeth. The Queen Elizabeth visited in 1966. It was actually the ascension of Queen Elizabeth to the throne when in 1952, our people decided to celebrate her ascension to the throne with a parade. That was the first parade that we have. And the organizers of the festival at the time decided they want to continue with the parade after that. In 1953, it continued, and then in 1954, we had our first festival queen, also in relation to celebrating the Queen's ascension to the throne. So the parade has nothing to do with our emancipation, but we have been celebrating it and having it as an activity as part of our festival activities. Now, moving the parade to increase or improve the quality of the parade is what we are attempting to do. And Saturday, it could be the Saturday before, we are going to do a survey. It could stay on Monday. It could move from the Saturday before, it could move Saturday after. But the Tuesday is Eastern Long Look. Tuesday, Eastern Long Look gets Tuesday and Wednesday. You don't want to take that from them, although we had the horse races on Tuesday and then you go into Eastern in the night. Wednesday and Thursday and Friday is Carrot Bay days. You have these things as part of the tradition. You don't want to take them away from the community. As a matter of fact, somebody suggested we need to have activities on Virgin Gorda, Justin Dyke, and Anegada because Emancipation Festival is for everybody. But it doesn't have to be expensive events, but just something, because we are going to begin to also observe August 1st as Emancipation Day. It's being observed throughout the region, it's being observed internationally. We'll have something to recognize the actual day. So we are going to do a survey and let the people decide whether we're going to keep it on the Monday. You have the option, the Saturday before or the Saturday after. So we go back to that. But something must be done to improve our festival. And this is the only thing, this is the only objection, the only aim that we are doing. Festival over the years has evolved. We had festival on Main Street. It came over to Waterfront Drive. Festival was organized by the churches, Anglican Church and the Methodist Church. They organized it, the JCs, and then we had festival and by the Festival and Fairs Committee. Festival started to be paid for when it moved to the A.O. Shirley grounds. Festival wasn't a paid event before. We moved to the closed-in area of the A.O. Shirley grounds, and then it moved over to where it is right now. So it changes, but we need a lift. We need a lift for our festival to improve it. It could be a good, and we do it, our people come home, and we also want to bring more visitors to this event. But we have to increase and improve the quality of our festival. And I don't know how else we're going to do it except by making the necessary changes that we need to make. It's not going to please everybody. It's not going to please everybody. Some people are leaving, yes, I understand that. It's the churches, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, I heard that. The businesses are to be open, I heard that. But businesses open on August Monday. The businesses, government doesn't open on Saturday. Trust companies don't open on Saturday, but the supermarkets open on August Monday. People have to work in different shifts on August Monday, so some people miss the parade on August Monday as well. So, as the Premier said, in terms of the progression that we want to make to enhance what we have already, especially with the venue for the festival, we have to make changes. We have to make changes in order to see improvements. We cannot please everybody. And I believe all these things that have been changed over the years, we have accepted them over time. I will bring up, that's not related, look at the college. When Honorable Lavity Stout, the late Honorable Lavity Stout, wanted to build a college, he got a lot of licks. But look at the college today. Honorable Christopher got a lot of licks for the 4-lane highway. What are we driving on today? So we have to have change in order to progress. We have a lot of opportunity in our country. We have to not be afraid to accept the fact that opportunities are out there for us to advance our lives, our territory, and increase the quality of life for us and maintain our identity as Virgin Islanders, our culture and our heritage. We can do that at the same time that we are advancing. That's the only reason why we come forward, because we have heard for years, festival is this, I don't have no culture. We heard it. So that's my take, and I'm gonna stick with, that's what I said on the night about the tramp, not to move the tramp because of its historical and cultural significance to us. And I said I will stick to that. But if the people want, the majority don't want it to move, or they want it to move the Saturday before, I have no problem. So we can go back to that. But it's something that was discussed before, and we have talked about it, and now we're coming forward with it. All right? So we can have that discussion. We'll do the survey and get the people's views on it, and we'll continue to talk about it. Okay? And the other thing, I think the library, before we move on, we're fast spent. It's gone past the time, but I'll allow the Honorable Shari to talk about the library. The derelict boats, oh my gosh, efforts have been made to move those boats out of the water. It's very costly, and I think because of the material, it's what you call that material? Fiberglass. You have to find a way to dispose of fiberglass in a proper way. So, but the Premier did say we're working on it, and some of the boats were moved out of the Seacows Bay area already. Those were moved. So we're finding ways to move all the derelict boats out of all the waters that they're in right now.
Yeah, let me just support Honorable Luce Hodge Smith on that. We started with those boats in Seacows Bay. We're going to move to Road Harbor next. We're going to move them. You know, that's something that will be done. We commit to that.
And Honorable Shari, and then we'll allow one more question before we wrap up for the night. I think we have that question on Facebook still that we need to address. So go ahead, Honorable Shari, about the library.
All right, so just quickly regarding the National Library, the ministry is going to look at advancing those plans to initiate designs within the second quarter. Of course, at the start of the year, we've been really looking at strategically preparing our work schedule for the summer months, so schools could be strategically prepared during that window when students are away from school. But within the second quarter, we are going to initiate some very exciting plans to ensure that the library not becomes a space just to house books, but becomes a very lively, civic, engaging space that young people and persons of all ages will be able to enjoy, especially families. Recently, when I went to Finland, I visited their reimagined National Library, and it just awoken my senses to the reality of what we can build. So I want persons to think modern. I want persons to think of a space that will board ideas, that will give persons the opportunity to develop their interests, their skills in very strategic areas. And so I'm excited about the engagements and meetings that will help us to bring that to a fruition this year.
Mr. Williams asked most of these questions. The first one, he was asking the abandoned vehicles, whoever want them, they could go with them in terms of he says the law says you can't get in trouble for stealing an abandoned vehicle. He's basically saying about the abandoned vehicles. Whoever want them, they can go with them, because he says in the law that if you take it, you can get in trouble for it because it's an abandoned vehicle. He also was asking if, when the conversation about the gut, if it just can't be covered. The Scatliff Alley gut that we were talking about clearing out with the water, if it can't just be covered.
I think that covering that size of a gut, part of it is covered, but I'm not too sure about that. To get it to clean, yeah, to clean it is an issue. You need to have access it to clean it.
Okay, even though we're talking about town, he was saying that the East End basketball.
Sorry guys, we're gonna wrap up in a minute.
The East End basketball court, if it could be covered with a building or something.
The East End basketball court?
What about it?
What about it? They want one?
He was asking if it could be covered with a building.
Covered.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to
speak for the minister.
I guess dominate the 4th district meeting with those matters, but we, I had a meeting in the 7th district. We did address that. The minister is looking at the plan for the whole. I don't think the minister can speak for herself, but looking at the plan for the whole Greenland area. But I'm very supportive of the minister's plans. I believe the minister had a plan to cover the facility and add seating, but that's after a comprehensive look at the whole area.
Yes.
Lastly, he was suggesting that the parade should have a separate one for the kiddies.
Sorry?
A separate parade for the kiddies, the children, sorry.
Oh, yes. Yes, the thing about it, the forum that we had, it addressed the history, why we celebrate. We don't want to lose that. We also talked about the activities, and that's when we talked about changing the parade. But we also had a section about the youth involvement in our parade so that we will have continuity and passing on of this tradition. So we will be working as feverishly as you can, and then we will see increases and improvement over the years that we will get our young people involved in our festival parade. And not just a parade, but festival in a whole. And we also did share that we have to remember that August is actually designated as our Heritage Month. So we really need to do more in August than just the festival activities for the month of August. So we will be trying to improve on that as well.
Suggestion for Pear Pack, culture-wise, is it possible the same boardwalk that they used to get onto the ship and off of the ship, if there could be a lineup of booths, I guess, giving out samples of tarts, samples of our local drinks, along with the steel pan group playing. And a lot of the times when the tourists are in the ferry.
That costs money because it's thousands of visitors. It's thousands.
That sounds excellent, but the costs are astronomical. So for instance, when we have Makajumbis performing, a Makajumbi for about an hour and a half will cost us $300. What we have done is through a relationship with the Rotary Club of Central Tortola, for which I am the president, we've actually provided for training for Platpole and Fungi music to be taught in 7 schools. Because one of the bigger issues we have is being able to get that level of cultural assets on the grounds. And trust me, we're begging for it. The problem is we're not getting it. And then even when we're getting it, it's at a fundamental cost. So we do have budgets that we do have to work within. On occasions, we have done where we've provided local treats. And this is why we also work with the VI Festival and Fairs Committee, where, for instance, we have been hosting the food fair as a major sponsor. And that's to create an integration of culture. So basically, the tourists, the locals, all converge in one area. So we continue to do what we can. We've even suggested that for those that operate in bands, maybe they might think on operating on a smaller scale, which means that if the band can't perform, we can still get a level of local infusion. The problem is most persons work and do not look at it as a real solid job opportunity. But trust me, in music, there is money. In culture, there is money. We are just not tapping into it. And Pear Park isn't the only one paying.
All right, thank you for that. On that note, I will say we will wrap up, unless there's one burning question or concern you want to share. If not, we're going to wrap up.
Are we going to revisit the tongue shuttles going to Coma and Prospect Reef?
Say that again?
Why not? Especially when the ferries are not oh, sorry. Are we going to revisit the idea of the tongue shuttles going to Comar and Prospect Reef?
Oh, yes, that's Minister Reimer's area.
The reason I say that because a lot of the times when the ships are in, and we have had a lot of ships recently, there's no taxis left for persons who are trying to get to places. And if they could at least go up to Coma and Prospect Reef, that would help a lot of people out.
Okay, yeah, that will be taken into consideration. So with that said, I really would like to thank everyone, especially my colleagues, for spending a few hours with us this evening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your expression of concerns. And also those persons who joined us on Facebook, thank you. And we will look forward to other meetings, and other meetings in the district will give you more in-depth details about what's happening in District 4. So thank you so much. Good night. God bless you.